Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into what I like to call the ultimate visual puzzle, the 11+ nonverbal reasoning test. If you or your child are gearing up for this exam, you've probably glanced at some of the practice questions and thought, wow, this looks like alien hieroglyphics. But don't worry. Today, we're going to completely demystify this entire process and give you the exact tools you need to succeed. So, let me ask you a question. Is your brain naturally wired to spot patterns? The reason I ask is pretty fascinating. You see, innovative people use this exact cognitive skill to identify opportunities, anticipate trends, and solve complex problems way before anyone else even notices them. It's not just some parlor trick. Pattern recognition is literally the engine of logical thought. And the best part? By simply tackling the puzzles we're about to explore, you will actually enhance those very skills.
Here's our mental roadmap for today. We'll start with what nonverbal reasoning actually is. Then we'll break down the 3 core skills it tests: pattern recognition, spatial awareness, and logical deduction, before wrapping up with some foolproof exam strategies.
All right, Section 1. What exactly is nonverbal reasoning?
The crucial point is right here in this definition. Nonverbal reasoning is a method of problem solving that assesses cognitive abilities using visual data. We're talking shapes, diagrams, sequences. And it completely bypasses literacy and arithmetic. Now, this is so important because it levels the playing field. It doesn't test how well a child has memorized a textbook. Rather, it tests their raw ability to identify relationships and structures in totally novel contexts. It is a highly fair measurement of independent, logical thought.
Now, here are the specific types of, visually chaotic questions students are going to face. You've got your odd one out, predicting the next shape in sequences, finding relationships in analogies, mentally spinning objects in rotations and reflections, code breaking, and filling in missing pieces of 3x3 matrices. I know, it sounds like a lot, but trust me, these are just predictable codes waiting to be deciphered.
Moving on to Section 2, and our first core skill, pattern recognition.
Let's do a really quick challenge, shall we? If you see the sequence 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, what comes next? You probably guessed it. It's 36. Why? Because those are perfect squares. 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, and so on. And this brilliantly illustrates a key strategy. Memorizing basic mathematical patterns, like squares up to 30, cubes up to 20, and the first 30 prime numbers, perfectly mimics the necessary speed of the test. When you see a 25 or a 36, your brain should instantly recognize the pattern. No slow math required.
The good news is, we can actually take the chaos right out of this abstract stuff. The exam doesn't use infinite patterns. It pulls from a highly predictable set. For instance, you'll see rotation, where shapes spin by 45 or 90 degrees, reflection, where they mirror across an axis, progression, where the number of dots or lines increases, position shift, where elements move predictably around a grid, and finally, alternation, where colors or shading cycle, say from black to white to striped. Once you know these specific templates, the seemingly random sequences become entirely manageable.
Okay, on to our next section, which covers skill number 2, spatial awareness.
Now, if spatial awareness sounds like some rigid, untrainable talent that you either have or you don't, I have great news. It is totally trainable, and honestly, you can do it through play. To develop strong visualization skills, students need to practice mentally rotating objects and identifying mirror images. But look at these tools. You can literally train for this exam by solving jigsaw puzzles, twisting a Rubik's Cube, or building with Lego. Engaging with physical 3D objects translates directly into real-world exam success because it trains the brain to actually understand spatial relationships.
So when a test asks, can you spot the mirror image, a lot of students just completely panic. But you have to remember, finding symmetry and reflections isn't magic. It's really just about systematically comparing the left side to the right side, or the top to the bottom. It's a highly trainable skill that, for sure, becomes second nature with consistent, focused practice.
Let's jump into our next section and look at skill number 3, logical deduction.
So how do we apply logical deduction to a really complex 3x3 matrix? Well, when a cell is missing, whatever you do, don't just stare at the whole grid. That just leads to overanalysis and wasted time. Instead, use a strict system. Always check for a rule across the rows first. Ask yourself, what changes from left to right? If that doesn't give you a clear pattern in about 15 seconds, immediately shift your focus and systematically check the columns from top to bottom. Trust me, having a checklist prevents you from just hunting randomly. When it comes to mastering those odd one-out questions, the absolutely crucial thing is to avoid jumping to conclusions. You must examine every shape carefully, looking for subtle variations in symmetry, position, or shading. You want to determine the overarching rule that binds the majority of the shapes together. Then, and this is vital, you systematically remove the options that blatantly violate that established rule. Always justify your response before picking it. If you can't explain exactly why it's the odd one out, keep looking.
All right, final section. Let's talk about exam strategies for success.
Let's dive right into this foolproof four-step method for conquering complex sequences. Step 1, isolate and track. Don't look at the whole messy shape. Just pick one moving element, like a single black dot, and track its rule. Step 2, predict exactly where that specific dot will be in the next box. Step 3, eliminate any answer options that do not match your prediction. This immediately narrows your choices down. And step 4, repeat the process with a different element until only one answer remains. By deconstructing complex shapes into single elements, the whole test becomes totally manageable.
Now, the harsh reality of this exam is that ticking clock. Ideally, you should be aiming to solve each question in just 45 to 60 seconds. To build that unparalleled speed and accuracy, consistency is key. Incorporating just 30 to 45 minutes of daily, timed practice will train the brain to recognize these patterns instantly, which is going to save precious seconds on exam day.
But listen, that speed absolutely should not come at the cost of well-being. Exam stress can seriously hinder cognitive performance. To prevent burnout, it is crucial to use mindfulness and relaxation practices. Make sure there is a healthy study-life balance, featuring regular breaks and outdoor activities. A fresh, well-rested mind performs significantly better on cognitive assessments. And finally, review mistakes thoroughly, but do it without judgment. Think of every mistake as just data, showing you exactly how to improve.
I actually want to share this really empowering quote from Winston Churchill. Success is not final. Failure is not final. It is the courage to continue that counts. I love this because it reminds parents and students alike that nonverbal reasoning isn't some magical, innate talent reserved only for geniuses. It is a systematic skill, and like any skill, it deeply rewards perseverance and practice.
So there you have it. We've broken down the 3 core skills tested in 11+ nonverbal reasoning: pattern recognition, spatial awareness, and logical deduction. We've armed you with actionable strategies to beat the clock and systematically eliminate wrong answers. The rest comes down to practice, because ultimately, if you can decipher the pattern, you can unlock your true potential. The only question left is, are you ready to crack the code?